Tesla's full self-driving was released in China 3 weeks ago on February 25th, and over this time, we've been watching videos from drivers in China testing the system. Today, we'll do a deeper dive on how exactly Tesla's FSD compares to competitors like Huawei, XPeng, NIO, and Li Auto. Overall, people are reporting that Tesla is at least a generation ahead, and it's now clear just how much better it is. We'll watch several of those videos. According to news reports, Tesla has partnered with Baidu to improve its mapping system to better handle lane markings and traffic light signals. And finally, we'll explore whether the launch of Tesla's Robotaxi in June will be its iPhone moment. There are a number of similarities and one key strategic difference. I got Larry Goldberg joining us, and he's going to walk us through all of this together. Welcome, Larry.
Thanks for having me, Herbert. Great to be here.
Yeah. So one of the things that is the most important milestone that Tesla needs to hit is Robotaxi. Whether us Tesla bulls are going to be correct or not, it's whether or not Robotaxi is going to happen or not. And so one of the things we need to keep watch of is how well is FSD? How is it improving? And it's been released in China, and we're going to watch some videos. But so far, it's been pretty impressive. You've got this report here showing that Huawei, we keep getting videos, and we're going to watch a few of them right now. But this is a comparison of Huawei versus Tesla's FSD in China. And this is fairly interesting how this works out. And we'll watch it here together here.
Now walking here without any hesitation. You see, this is crucial. To be honest,
I'm going to pause it. So first of all, what I did was I obviously dubbed it in English so that it's easier for us to listen to what the driver's saying. So just be clear. And at the top is the Huawei system. And at the bottom is the Tesla system. Okay. And you can see that they're both being driven, and there's like this two gates that it needs to go through. So at the top, the driving Huawei system first. Watch what Huawei does.
This scene is a bit difficult. He's observing because the road has yellow grid lines. It says to watch the route. There are obstacles ahead. He's reminding me to drive very carefully. Beautiful, beautiful. Look, the second one, it maneuvers very smoothly. At this point, the road becomes a bit straight again, but he's still intentionally keeping to the left because there are some plants on the right. The branches are extending into our path, and he's deliberately avoiding them. You see, as he turns this corner, he doesn't touch the water at all.
This turn, let's see how it understands this. Oh, this scenario is very hard to understand. Very hard to understand. Super hard to understand. Wow, you still need to
understand. Super smooth. No braking at all. I'm really impressed. It's incredibly smooth, isn't it? Just like a human. Exactly like a human.
Okay. You know what? That's funny. The dubbing did not do justice. On the second half, when it was Tesla's turn, they were freaking out. The drivers were freaking out because if you saw the way that Tesla did it, it actually just very smoothly went around it. There was none of this stop, pause. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So while you're talking,
the way Huawei did it, it reminded me of the old version 11, right? Used to stop, try and figure it out, start inching around and then continue. It looked like, the old version 11. This is something we haven't seen since the full stack. I mean, it's just amazing how smooth it's become. And so, that's what's amazing them in China. Did I lose you?
Okay, so what I just did is I redid the video. This time I took out the dub again, just the original. You need to listen to the way that the inflection of the excitement of the drivers as they were watching this. So here's the original one.
你看，现在他走这儿，丝毫不犹豫啊！你看这个绕行，这个场景说实话有点难。他在观察，因为路上是黄色的网线，啊，他写的是注意路线，前方有障碍物啊，他在提示我。开得很小心啊。漂亮漂亮，你看第二个他就绕得很丝滑了。
That's the Huawei system. You have to pause.
又变得有点直了，但是他还在特意的靠左，因为右边有一些植物，这个枝桠是伸到我们车道线里面来了，他在有意的避让他们。啊，你看这个弯一转。
Okay, here's the Tesla system.
这个弯一转，看他怎么理解这个。哦，这个场景啊，这个场景很难理解的，很难理解，超级难理解啊！哇，你需要理解吗？哇，超级丝滑，都没有任何一脚减速啊！我真的服了，巨丝滑，是不是和人一模一样嘛？和人一模一样。
Okay, so you can see the difference in the excitement. They were freaking out that the Tesla system could actually figure it out.
We experienced the same thing.
Yeah,
we experienced exactly the same thing when we moved from version 11, version 12 to version 13. It was a dramatic. It was like a child driving and then an adult driving from left to right. It was an amazing transition.
Okay, sorry about that. I just now I have to catch up again. Okay, good. So that was one video, right? Huawei versus Tesla FSD. So you can actually see the difference, right? Confidence versus getting frozen a little bit. Here's another one, another video from China. Avoided roadkill. In this case, it was a cat. The Teslers were stunned, not knowing that FSD can do this.
Model 3的 Model 3啊，万新版的 Model 3的标序。
There's a cat.
猫，哇，这个好多，哇塞，
一只猫它停掉了，
它都停下来了啊！
一只猫过去它停掉了。
对，然后现在它不会走了是吧？
然后对。
Anyways, so they're very, very excited that didn't realize it can see things as small as that moving along.
They may be excited, but I am excited. At our age, we get a little skittish about driving. Now, my wife, for a couple of years now, she's refused to drive at night. And so I end up having to take her wherever she goes. So a couple of weeks ago, she said to me, look, let me try FSD, because she's been a game player. She's allowed me to use FSD all the time, even going back to, the first releases of FSD. She's lived through those very, very nail-biting moments. And we went out one drive. She said, I'm fine. And now she goes out on her own evening, nights, no problem at all. And she drives 100% FSD. She's had one intervention because she felt the car was going too slowly, because it was set to, the lowest level, and we've updated it. So she's had no interventions. She is using FSD as her driver.
Yeah, these are actually milestones, I think, too, right? It's like spouse approved, spouse driving it, and spouse insisting on it, right?
And enabling spouse to drive at night. That's a huge deal when you're getting, into your 80s.
So how is Tesla comparing to the actual other competitors in China? Now, this is just one example. There's many, many bloggers writing. They're all explaining it. This is just one blogger, but it still is the theme is about the same for many of them, saying the same thing. So this blogger wrote saying Tesla is at least a generation ahead. And what they said was, recently I watched comparisons of Tesla FSD with the autonomous driving capabilities of Chinese automakers, Huawei, XPeng, NIO, and Li Auto. The conclusion is clear. Tesla is at least a generation ahead, with a significant gap between its learning-based system and the rigid, rule-bound approaches of domestic automakers. In short, FSD drives like a human with intuition. It can navigate any road, number one, any road, stops at T-junctions to check for traffic, is highly courteous to pedestrians and cyclists, and operates with remarkable smoothness. While prioritizing safety, it may occasionally cross insignificant solid lines or follow other cars in running a red light if they do so first. It provides a strong sense of security, and with Chinese traffic regulations integrated into the next version, it will be nearly perfect. By contrast, based on my own driving experience and evaluations, Chinese autonomous driving systems have several major flaws. The biggest issue, over-reliance on LiDAR. Once the sensors deem a situation safe, the system fully commits, which can be risky. For example, it often fails to slow down at T-junctions, making it vulnerable to sudden cross-traffic collisions. These systems are overly constrained by rigid programming, resulting in hesitant driving. Their development also remains incomplete, struggling to recognize many complex scenarios. As a result, they're mostly reliable on highways, but in low-speed urban areas, drivers must stay fully alert to use them safely. This was the write-up. That it was a good write-up because I thought it was very, very specific about how exactly the systems are differentiating.
And what it's teaching us is the Chinese are exactly where Tesla was a year ago and a year and a half ago, or a year and a half ago. And we were getting to a point of thinking, wow, we're never going to get there, because each new version added some capability but lost another capability. And it was like, a forward, a yard backwards. And that kind of problematic situation really drove us to, really become suspicious of the potential for advancement. And the transition from the rules-based system to the full stack of, AI was dramatic and instantaneous. I mean, you just cannot conceive of the difference. So I think the Chinese have got a ways to go, and it just shows, how far ahead Tesla is and how difficult it's going to be for the Chinese to make that transition, given how married they are to this, sensor-based, to this multi-sensor-based system.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple of them, right? I thought Huawei, I think NIO, they've already made the decision to go neural net, and they've made the decision to dump LiDAR. It's just that they're catching up. They're still fairly far behind.
There's a way to go.
But this is good. So now we're hearing the comparisons. The biggest critique for Tesla's system in China, and we knew this, they don't have enough data. So they are not good at traffic signals and bus lanes and just, reading lane markings. And so Tesla has announced, apparently, actually, it's not a Tesla, it's the report from Chinese news reports are saying that Tesla is partnering with Baidu to improve its mapping system. So Baidu apparently recently dispatched engineers to Tesla's Beijing office to work on better integrating its navigation map information with FSD. The move aims to improve FSD's understanding of Chinese roads with more accurate and updated information. Tesla's working with Baidu to improve assisted driving system in China. So
unfortunately, that's a Reuters report. And I have to say, Reuters have not been very accurate in their Tesla reporting, because it's all, it is the same two anonymous sources that there was wrong.
Yeah. Okay, well, it does make sense though, right? Tesla needs either better maps or they need to just get more data.
Well, they need a mapping vendor. They have a mapping vendor here in Google. They obviously need a mapping vendor in Baidu, and better integration is good, so hopefully that is good. I will say that if you go back a version or two on version 13, we were having red light problems.
All right.
So it could be just a version issue. So I would just take that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah. But that's the next thing. The other thing is when Tesla released FSD in China, it's only with the hardware for cars, AI for cars. But there's now code that they're finding here that it's the map update that these hardware 3 cars are getting.
Right.
And so people are thinking that FSD is going to be launched in China with hardware 3 cars now too. Right. Larry, what do you think about, so if they need to launch in hardware 3s, they need to launch a subscription. These are just the next steps, right?
Yeah. We're going to see we're going to see robotaxis, or the rideshare system introduced by Tesla in June, purportedly, but it'll be this year. Probably China's going to follow very rapidly. Tesla China are not going to sleep on this. Tesla China are very aggressive. They're going to move very quickly.
Yeah.
I predicted the market, Tesla would really win the market in the United States. I thought Europe would be more difficult because we've got this bureaucratic, logjam, but that I didn't think we would see Tesla in China. I was wrong, 100% wrong. And the rate at which they tackle things in China, who knows? They may even beat us to market.
That's very interesting, actually, now you say that. So we know for sure they're launching Robotaxi here in Austin, California. So Austin in June, California, and said multiple cities in the US by the end of this year. They've launched FSD in China, but they'll need time because they don't have as much of the data. But you're saying, hey, it can actually happen sooner. They're going to launch hardware 3. They will do the subscription model, and then they might move forward with some sort of pilot already, a Robotaxi in the city there.
I wouldn't be shocked if it happened. I wouldn't be shocked if it happens. China speed.
Yeah.
Look, we are within months now of seeing, the fruition of these 10 years of work. Months away. And once it starts happening, it's going to be very quick. And, we're going to see city by city. But in China, you could say one city and you could have a market as large as the entire United States.
Mm.
So the opportunities are just so dramatic. Now, there are limitations, I believe, in China from a regulatory point of view in terms of, their geofence, but maybe Tesla will be able to persuade the powers that be that, obviously the car is capable of going well beyond, geographic boundaries.
Well, even if they stayed to exactly the same conditions that the other robotaxi programs that are already running in China, because the data is showing that it's better than the other competitors, and they're doing robotaxi now. So I think you're a good one, Larry. It's made me think now that it might actually appear maybe this year, not so far away from the US. Maybe
I wouldn't
that'd
be
be
shocked.
fair.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay, so the big topic I wanted to talk to you about today is whether or not Tesla's Robotaxi service that they're going to launch in June, if that is the iPhone moment. So there's this post by Michel de Gohermier. You want to tell me how you say his last name?
Your guess is better than mine.
Okay. He said the launch of Tesla's Robotaxi service in June will be its iPhone moment. I pretty much view the upcoming launch of the Tesla Robotaxi service in Austin as the introduction of the iPhone in June 27, as there are so many similarities. There's also one key strategic difference. So he says at the time back in 2007, Apple came up with a new, extremely innovative product. Many people thought it was not as disruptive. It took many years to ramp up, but it led Apple to incredible wealth. And he shared a market cap kind of table that I'll show here later. The iPhone launched in June 2007, and Apple only sold a bit more than 1 million that year. 12 million in 2008. Wow, that's like a 10x. 21 million in 2009. 40 million in 2010. It took 8 years to reach 230 million, which is more or less its cruising speed today. Other smartphones existed at the time. BlackBerry, Trio, Nokia, but they all were technologically inferior, both in their hardware. They lacked the touchscreen display and software side, much less user-friendly. Baby internet, no music. They all later disappeared. I like this description so much, Larry, because it's like there's Waymo and there's Cruise and there's Baidu and there's Zoox and there's all, and maybe even Uber. But yes, they are technically doing robotaxi, but when you start comparing, the difference between the two will be so different. The experience, the features that it can do, and it could be the difference between a smartphone and a dumb phone. So in a similar way, robotaxi services exist today, the most famous and leading one being Waymo, doing 200,000 rides per week. But as for the legacy smartphones at the time, hardware is inferior. The Cybercab is going to be much more comfortable, specifically designed for ride hailing, and is 4 to 5 times less expensive to build. And same for its software. Camera and AI system versus map coded and geofence for Waymo. On top of that, Tesla's service will be highly scalable because of the very nature of its software and its hardware, specifically designed for being low-cost, mass manufacturing, easier charging, and maintenance operations. Tesla will come up in June with a greatly superior product and service for autonomous ride-hailing, highly scalable. At the same time, there's a key strategic difference with the iPhone. So here's the difference. The Tesla Robotaxi service will be significantly less costly than legacy players right off the bat. May later even be priced at a level which makes individual car ownership an awkward option. Eventually, Cybercab massive cost per mile advantage changes everything, not only the ride-hailing market, but also the car ownership market, among others. So, what you're thinking about his premise that the Tesla could be the iPhone moment?
Right. So I'm aligned. What's interesting is that the iPhone was announced, I think, within days of the actual release of the phone. I remember the lines around the corner of people waiting for their iPhones.
Yeah.
And it was pretty exciting for the cognoscenti, for the people who already knew Apple, loved Apple, trusted Apple, and wanted to buy the phone because it was Apple. And the phone turned out to be superb. So it's going to be very similar for the rideshare, that people who know, trust, and love their Tesla are going to be very open to the rideshare, and it's going to take that little bit of time for people to discover the huge difference between the Waymo and the Tesla rideshare, the Robotaxi. And so I think it's not going to be like, a wildfire at the outset, but within a year, I think it's going to take off on a really, really large, on a very significant basis. I mean, you cannot compare the Tesla opportunity to the opportunity of all these laser, these software, determinative software-based systems. You cannot compare it. The difference in the ride, the ability to go without a geofence, just the software enablement of the car. I mean, everything. You know what President Trump said. It's all computer. So it's all computer. This is the big difference. So the product is just going to be so superior to the product in the rest of the market. And the other issue is cost. We know what Tesla's cost is going to be. We know what Waymo's costs probably are, not to the exact penny, but pretty darn close. The difference is just so dramatic. I don't know how they're going to stay in business.
Yeah. If we go through every single little thing that's so different between a Tesla experience and another car experience or a Waymo experience, like just simple, like you download the app. The app is going to be a million times just easier to use and more, just accurate. You hail the cab. When it comes to you, the door will self-open, self-present. You walk in, the door will close by itself. It knows who you are already. And so it will readjust to everything your music will be loaded up, and then when you leave, you don't have to do anything. You just leave and go and it'll take care of everything. Software will update automatically on your phone. Software will update on the cars.
But think about the synchronization between your phone and the car. Mm-hmm. You may have, 15 different apps on your phone that you're using and automatically have access to those. I mean, right. We drive Teslas, so we we're so used to the capability of the car and our phone and the integration of what we do with the car, what we do on our phone with the car, what we do in software with our phone, with our car. All of that translates into the rideshare. So we know what that experience is like. People are going to learn that experience. I mean, it's going to be an eye-opener.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the market cap comparison for Apple that he shared. And he said, okay, this is what happened in 2006, $63 billion. And then 376 billion. Is this the right number? 76 billion. So it was a 6x in market cap. Now the phone was released in 2007. And so it took about 4 years. And then it's 6x in 4 years. It was 10x by 20. So 10 years, 10x in 10 years and 50x by 2021. So do you think, that obviously they're totally separate markets, but it's just this idea that you have a business that's doing really well. You've introduced a new disruptive technology. It takes off, wins the market. It's such a big deal. And this is what we saw with the market cap for Apple. What are you thinking about the comparison?
Yeah, if you think about what the market considered the TAM, the total addressable market of phones, of mobile phones, in 2006, I doubt that they considered that the entire market was worth $300 billion.
Yeah.
I strongly doubt that they considered the entire market, not the market for Apple or the market share that Apple would get, but I highly doubt they considered it was much more than $100 billion. And yet Apple achieved almost $400 billion by 2011. So what enabled that? It wasn't the hardware of the phone. It was the software of the phone that was the magic. I don't know if you remember how Apple really struggled to sell that iPhone in year one. And then there's an app for that. That ad campaign just propelled Apple, through the roof, and they never looked back. And that software advantage, that proprietary software advantage, what I call their walled garden, just blossomed and became, a jungle. And then, this gigantic playground that people use. And so now we have this, 50x growth. That's exactly what we're looking at with Tesla. It's not the hardware, it's the software. Stupid, right?
You are brilliant, dude. You're brilliant because, the App Store came a year later, and the App Store is what made it, like you said, 10x, 10x to or 6x or 10x. But then after that, they got the subscription, right? Subscription of music, the subscription of Apple TV and all these things. That's what made it the 50x, right? The switch from the hardware's revenue to now just subscription revenue. And that's what made that growth.
Right.
In the same way, that's what people are missing, right? There's the Robotaxi market, which is dollars per ride per ride per mile.
Right.
But then there is going to be an app store. And there will, right? One of the things that I'm very excited about is the revelation that the Tesla app, when you get closer to San Mateo, the diner that they're about to open up, as you get closer to it, the app itself changes and there's a new feature, there's a new page on it. You can order things from the Tesla diner.
That's just,
you go to McDonald's, right?
Herbert, that's just the beginning of what's coming, because but it's an insight. Grok. It's an insight into what's coming. So the integration of the car with your software, with your life, will not stop at your car. Right. It will not stop at the next ride, the next ride you hail. It'll be, seamless across every ride you hail, and across your phone and across your own vehicle. Should you continue to own it? Should you be as silly as to continue to own a vehicle?
And with Grok and integrated, it's going to be like you said.
Think about it. I mean, Grok integrate. You carry your entire life with you in the car, and you can interact with the car in the same way as you interact with your, phone. Yeah. I mean, you can continue to interact with your phone. So it's
do you think Tesla's going to be fine with just an app on the iPhone? You think they'll need their own hardware?
Tesla will need their own hardware for a phone?
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it very much.
Yeah. Maybe not a phone, but
people talk about the Tesla
the pin
ever, and Elon has said maybe we should make a phone, but he's also said, if I absolutely have to. I think making a phone would be fool's errand. I don't think tech.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to do it, but he's threatening that if you guys, Apple, try to do something, to control us, then okay, I'll be forced to make a phone or some sort of device.
Well, Tim Cook and Elon are now best friends.
They're now good friends again. This is great. So the Robotaxi is going to be the iPhone moment. It won't happen right away. It could take years, but it's really the app or the kind of the software, the Grok integration that's going to just blow everybody away. And you're saying the experience is just so much better.
Distribution of the car is a little bit more challenging than distribution of the iPhone. So it's going to take a little bit longer. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. Follow Larry on his X account at Tesla Larry. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.